Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Manino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, on how they got to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful island of Maryland is Leslie Awasom, which I want to call Awesome. We're going to call him Leslie Awesome for today for the podcast. How you doing, young man?
I'm living the dream. Thank you so much for having me, Michael.
Thank you for being on the show. Really do appreciate it. And you're from Cameroon.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. You came here in 2020, correct?
No, 2000 actually.
2000. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
said 20.
yeah.
I meant 2000. So let's scratch that and start over. Say 2000, 2000. So you've been here for 25 years. What do you think of the U.S.?
It's an amazing place to be in. I'm so blessed to be here. All the opportunities that I've been blessed with being here in America. It's a great society, and I'm grateful to be here.
So tell me a little bit about where you're at today in the world, what you do, and how you got to where you're at.
Got it. Yeah, so I live in Maryland, like you said. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Excite Capital Investments. We are a private equity platform focused on acquiring large apartment buildings across the US. And I got there just by wanting more and being ambitious and just being blessed with all the opportunity that you see in the US. So when I came to the US, followed the traditional path, which is going to school, getting a job. So I went to school, I studied nursing, then went to graduate school, studied nurse anesthesia, and which by all means is a great career to have, earning a large income, being able to take care of my family, but got to a point where you realize that the income I'm earning, I have to exchange valuable time. That is time that I could be spending with my daughters, time that I could be spending with my wife and my son in the hospital in order to earn that income. And I start looking around the US and I'm seeing there are others that do not necessarily exchange their time for money. So I had to ask myself, like, what do these people know that I don't know? And being in a wonderful society like the US that we're in, I know that that information is just like that. That answer is just an information away, it's just a book away or some kind of knowledge base away. And that's what I did. Sought after that knowledge, read a lot of books on finances, started investing in real estate back in 2016. In 2019, my partners, Dr. Julius Oni, Tenny Tolofari, and myself founded Excite Capital to create a platform where we could help other medical professionals get access to institutional grade real estate access and be able to create passive income without being involved in the day-to-day management of the real estate. And that's what we did. And over the last 7 years, we've acquired over 243 millions of apartment buildings across the US. And the platform is growing until I was able to exit my career as a nurse anesthetist last year to focus full time on this.
Cool. So what do you think of the American dream?
It's real, right? It depends on what you call the American dream. It is
Can't wait for you to
real.
say what you're going to say next.
So I'm going to say this, Michael. When I came in, I thought the American dream was going to school, getting a job, and earning an income and doing all of that. And then, like, what happened in 2008, there was actually a point when I'm ashamed to say it now, when I was saying the American dream is a lie. Because what I saw a lot of people that went to school, got jobs, and started buying houses and got caught up in the subprime mortgage crisis. And I had a lot of friends and family members that lost homes, that lost like their entire savings because they got caught in that. But a few years later, when I went back and started reading and started learning, what I understood is that it was lack of information and lack of knowledge that got people into that circle, that situation that they were in. And learning to do things the right way, you can definitely achieve the American dream. And my belief of the American dream is that the human potential is infinite. You could become whatever you want to become. And the society provides you a platform where you could be that. So today, I am a true believer of the American dream because the country itself provided me a platform where I've been able to grow beyond my imagination, beyond any imagination that I had from a person coming up, when I was growing up, I grew up in Cameroon. And in the early part of my years, I grew up in a very little remote village somewhere in Cameroon. It's called Cambe. It's a small village. At that time, there wasn't even electricity in most of those villages. To live from there and to be here where I am today, I feel truly blessed. And there are very few societies that can provide you with that opportunity. And I think America is one of them.
I agree with you 100,000%. Everything you said is the total truth. I just think that people in America don't appreciate the opportunity. And what I like to tell everybody on this podcast is that I have a phrase, and it's called the immigrant advantage. A lot of people in America don't do well, and they blame everybody else. But I've noticed everybody that comes from, we'll say, Africa or other countries, they do real well here because they have a hard work ethic, and they just put the nose to the grindstone and just crush it. I mean, just absolutely. Who's the most successful South African that you know in this world?
It's Elon Musk.
There you go. See what it's a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
And it really is a great analogy of the potential of the U.S.
That is very true, right? And the interesting thing, because I really sat back and I'm really baffled by that, and I baffled by why, as an immigrant, I'm able to come to America and see all I see is opportunity, and Americans don't see it, and they're not able to go after the same opportunities. But Michael, the interesting thing I realize is that is not unique just to America. It is
Really?
actually present in every single country you could think of. It's like the nationalist entitlement mentality that I think that's what I came up with, because if you are a national of that country, you believe that your government owes you something. You are entitled to the land, you're entitled to this, you're entitled to that. I'm coming in as a foreigner, I'm coming in searching for opportunity. I'm not entitled to anything. I'm just blessed with whatever has been given to me. So I'm here just to put my head down and go after that opportunity, because I see it too in the African communities, where in Cameroon, we see Nigerians come in and they do really well. And then you see Cameroonians go to Nigeria and they do really well. But if you talk to
Really?
the locals of that country, they're complaining about the government, they're complaining about this, they're complaining about that. So it's really in the
Wow.
perspective that you take into any society. And I'm glad that I came here, and I'm able to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to me.
Well, I think I don't know because I've only been an American, but I know one thing: you can really knock it out of the park in this country. The
Absolutely, without a doubt.
we were talking a little bit off camera about the laws in a friend of mine came from Nigeria, and he was telling me that if you file bankruptcy, you have to pay back what you owe, right? And we were talking about how the laws favor business in the United States, and I thought about that. If if you're punished for failing, you don't want to try anymore. In the United States, you can start any business out. You might have to put some capital into it, but if it does fail, the bankruptcy laws cover you from being hounded for the rest of your life, right? So it doesn't punish you for failing, and you want to try it again. And some of the most successful people have failed several times.
You're absolutely right. It's probably one of the only few countries where you have the possibility to do that. It gives you the opportunity to fail, get back up your feet, and then create more value. So, like I was telling you, Michael, I think the laws of a society matter a lot, right? And the US is where the laws are designed to favor businesses, is designed to favor entrepreneurship, it's designed to favor innovation. So that's why a lot of people come in and they're able to do really well.
We were talking a little bit off camera. I said, what do you think is the greatest attribute for what is the greatest aspect of U.S. real estate? You remember what your answer was?
Yeah, my answer was that one of the thing was the laws, like the judiciary system that protects you as
Right,
an investor in U.S. real estate,
right.
and the economy itself of having like an economy where you have people that can afford to consume, to live in the real
Right.
estate. So that was my answer, but you gave an answer that I never thought of, and I agree 1,000% with your perspective on it.
I said that. and I'll say this to the day I die. Why is American real estate one of the most sought after real estate in the world? And you mentioned, and everybody says what you say, but they really miss one huge point.
Hmm.
It's protected by the U.S. military.
1000%.
Our military is the best of the best of the best of the best. We were talking earlier, and I heard someone say that what's the greatest fighting force in the world? And it's the U.S. Army. What's the second greatest fighting force? And it was the U.S. Navy. And, the third greatest. And then there was China in there, and then it was the U.S.
Hmm.
Air Force. So the top three are just U.S. branches of our that protect our real estate. You know, and I think that's grossly overlooked. And for our men and women that fight for our country, it's kind of a disservice to them, is what I would say, because they really do a great job of making it possible for us to do what we can do.
Absolutely. If you know your assets are safe, so they're gonna keep growing in value. That makes 100% sense.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. Yeah, when you say that, that's the most answers I get in the podcast is, it's because of the laws and because of the economy and because of that. And it really, I think people miss the one most important part
Yeah.
is, it's safe. It's one of the safest assets protected by the greatest fighting force in the world, period. And like, yeah,
Yep.
you're right. It would make sense.
No,
Um,
you're making me gonna double down on real estate, Michael.
well, I'm triple downing on it. We were talking about the '08 crisis. So
Hmm.
I went through that, and that's when I became a millionaire. So
Mm.
during the hard times, the most millionaires are made. And what I've noticed is I'm seeing things like that happen now. If you remember '08, right? What happened in the subprime mortgage and stuff like that.
Hmm.
What I've noticed in downturns is that there's always something that happens. And we don't know what the cause is to create it. Back
Hmm.
then it was subprime mortgages. And now it could be affordability on housing, but there's always dips and valleys in real estate. What do you think? What do you think we're at now in real estate? And I'm going to say the total real estate, but then you can separate it between single family and multifamily.
So to be honest, in when it comes to like single family, I haven't really spent a lot of time over the last few years trying to study that market to see what's going on in there right now. But for multifamily, it's what I spend a lot of time on and read a lot of reports and been in the business for like the last 7 years. And I actually feel like we are at the 2008, 2009 of multifamily and actually emerging and getting closer to 2010. Because just like subprime mortgages affected your residential real
Single
estate,
family.
yeah, back in 2008, the same thing happened in multifamily in 2022, 2021 with like the bridge loans, right? With the floating rate debt. And we are seeing assets that are being offered right now at a discount. I was telling my partners the other day that I wish I could shake some of other people to see what's going on. Because when I talk to a lot of like busy professionals and other colleagues, former colleagues in anesthesia, everybody seems to be oblivious to what's going on. But we're watching, we're seeing the large institutions, the Blackstones of the world, and all these other guys coming in and scooping in these assets at a discount. We've been able to acquire a couple of assets in this cycle. And when you look at the valuations versus what the valuation was 2 years ago, it's insane what's happening. So for multifamily space, I actually think that we are, if not at the bottom, we are emerging out of the bottom. I think there's a huge opportunity in that space right now to be able to acquire great assets in great markets at prices that we're not going to see for many more years to come.
Right. Right. So, and if I can elaborate on that a little bit, because I'm in the same industry as you,
Hmm.
and why we're at the best place in time for multifamily. Multifamily's value is determined by its cap rate, and its cap rate is just basically for the average individual. The cap rate is what you make on the property. So let's say you make 3% cap rate, right? So if the building's worth, if the apartment complex worth $1 million, you're making $30,000. So you're making 3%. No, 30,000. So you're making 3%. Now, when we were trading 2 years ago, the cap rates were at 3%,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the interest rates was 3%, 2%, 1%, right? And we were buying used loans for that. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
happened was if you got a building worth a 3% cap rate, and you make $100,000 is worth 3 million.
Mm-hmm.
At a 6% cap rate, it's worth 1.6 million, right? So
Yes.
so interest rates with 3%, we were buying it at 3%. We're buying for 6% now, 7%. I got a deal under contract right now at 7% cap rate,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's worth the low. That's what you're trying to say. And why that happened was because in you remember this, and I'm rambling a little bit. I should have stopped this at the beginning. But at a 3% cap rate, Powell said in 2022, we're not raising interest rates until
Yeah.
2026. Do you remember him saying that?
I remember him saying that. Everybody remembers. And
Right?
people
Everybody in
losing
the
buildings
industry.
remember that. Yep.
So everybody banked on what the Fed guy that is in charge of the interest rates said. So they bought short term, which is called bridge debt, for 3 years at 3%, and then underwrote it to be another 3% in 3 years. And then when they went from 3% and then interest rates went up to 6%, now their evaluations went in half.
Yep.
Not really their fault. I mean, do you blame them for that because they were told this? And what do you think of how that happened? Do you agree with what I was saying? And it wasn't really their fault, but where they're at now is an opportunity.
Absolutely. So those changes in interest rates affected everybody from the little guy to the big guys, even like the large private equity firms. Some of them lost buildings because of the interest rate. Everybody listened to what Powell had to say. And the other thing is, like, at that time, the only lenders that were coming into the market were the lenders that were offering a variable interest rate loan, right? The traditional lenders of the Fannie Mac and Freddie, because interest rate went down so low, values went up like crazy. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, their leverage that they were offering was kind of low. So the bridge lenders came in and started offering these variable rate loans, and nobody thought that in 2023 or 2024 the interest rates would balloon as they did. And the Federal Reserve went on an interest rate raising spike that is unprecedented, like very fast, very rapid. So you had people that were
Highest
sitting on a
increase in
debt.
a short amount of time.
Exactly. So you had people that were sitting on a debt of about 3%, and all of a sudden, the interest rate went to 8, 9%. So you're talking about you triple your debt cost on a property. And some of those people just had to let go of that property and give it back to the bank. Now you have a lot of these assets that are coming in now, and they're coming at a lower valuation because the interest rate is much higher. And as a buyer, you have to buy a property that's going to produce cash flow. The higher interest rate means you have to pay lower for that property in order for it to produce cash flow. So that's where that opportunity lies right now. And we've seen that the Fed is signaling it's already decreasing interest rates. And the
From eight to
inflation
percent
that,
to 6%. What are you seeing right now so there's a different, what I want people to understand. I would like the total people to understand, the people that don't understand multifamily, which we do, and the people that we do understand it, and people that don't understand it. So an interest rate from 3 to 8%, dropping down to 6%, it's trending in the right way, making the evaluations go up, but we're still buying properties at a 6, 7, 8% cap rate right now.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and that's where the sweetest deals are. And I've said this before in different podcasts that we're in the greatest market for multifamily I've ever seen in my life.
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's crazy what we're seeing out there, and the deals are there, really good deals in good markets.
Hmm.
Really good deals in good markets with great potential for growth that you could get right now at a very, very good basis. We're buying deals way below replacement cost. We bought a 2022 building, closed on it in August, about $30,000 per unit below replacement cost. Crazy. The previous owner bought it brand new without tenants for $24 million back in 2022 with a floating rate debt. and we bought it this year for about $25 million at 93% occupancy. So it's crazy some of the kind of opportunities that you can see in the market right now. But I gotta say, it's an exciting time to be in the space. I'm just really grateful that I started when I started, and the platform that we're building, and being able to expose some of our hardworking 9 to 5 professional into this institutional grade assets in the cycle that we're in right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you 1000%. I think we're in the greatest, like I said, the greatest time in multifamily history. And it's gonna make the most millionaires, period, by
Y-
far and away.
I agree.
Nice. So are you glad you got into multifamily when you did?
Oh man, you don't know how glad I am, Michael. I wake up some days in the morning and I say my prayers and I thank God for like guiding me to this path that I'm on right now. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been like smooth all the way, but I am so grateful. I am blessed to be where I am right now.
I agree with everything you say. The God of the universe has blessed me more than when people ask me how are you doing, I said better than I deserve.
Exactly.
And understand exactly what I'm trying to say. And then some people go, oh, you probably deserve it. I'm like, no, absolutely
Mhm.
not. I'm in a better place than I could possibly imagine. So when you're in here's a good question for you. You're in Cameroon, and I were to tell you in 1996, you were going to be in America owning apartment complexes and working where you're at now. What would you have said to me?
You know, I knew I was going to be in America. I had that belief that I was going to be in America, but owning apartment complexes, I didn't even know what that was. I was a bit like, okay, that's interesting. Let's see what happens. So one of the things that helped me in life is even as a young man, I had a very wild imagination, and that was my escape, right? When things were tough, I could not see much around me. All I could go back to was my imagination, imagining I'll read magazines about America and I'll start dreaming about America. But I never saw myself as a real estate investor, to be honest with you. I never saw that. So that would have been, I'll be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, but I don't know what that is.
There
So
you
we'll
go.
find out someday.
You did well. I was in Italy and I was talking to my cousins and I explained. She goes, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm an entrepreneur." And she goes, "What's that?" There was a hard translation to understand. I said, "Well, I don't work for anybody. I just work and I make money." She
Yes.
kind of like tilted her head a little bit and she was like, what do you mean by that? And I'm like,
Mm.
it's hard to explain. You don't work for somebody? I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know, but I think I'm
Yeah.
unemployable at this point. I've been doing this for 30 years and
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no way you can go back to go work for anybody else, Michael. No,
No, nobody would hire me.
you're gonna be a very bad employee.
I'd be the worst employee in the world. As soon as someone says you can't do this, I'm like, watch me.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and how's the transition from the corporate world to the entrepreneurial world?
Man, it hasn't been easy, but it's been fun. The beginning, like the first few months was really challenging because now it's like you're stepping from a path of certainty where you know you have to go in, go to work, come back home, and then you get paid. Now it's all on you. Building the team. It first starts off with a lot of pressure. It's like you're feeling all this pressure. You believe you got to do all of this. Then you get to a point where you just get to a point of acceptance. This is my path. This is what I'm doing. This is a beautiful path to be in. And so, what do I need to do today to move the company forward? What do I need to do to move progress? And I think once I got to that point of like calm and settled, then things started moving much faster. But initially, it was like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, putting a lot of pressure on my team. It's like, no, no, I'm not working for anybody right now. You got to do this. You got to do this. But you just come to that place of acceptance and gratitude and then you figure out, you look at the opportunities, you work on that. So in the last, because my business partner Tenny Tolfari and myself, we kind of left the 9 to 5 around the same time. In the last 12 to 16 months since we've been working full time, we've been able to grow XI Capital much faster than what we did over the last 3 years. So I'm really glad I made the decision, and I'm not looking back. Just keep
Well, that's
going forward.
awesome. I love what you said that it's not as easy as it looks. It's
No,
it's
it's
hard,
not. No,
right?
it's hard.
But would you want it to be easy?
No, no. The thing is, you got to choose your heart.
Yeah.
Coming here from America, from the Cameroon, going to school and doing it's hard. That's hard, waking up every morning and going and spend 12, 16 hours at the hospital away from your family. That's not easy either. So you got to choose your heart. I'll choose this heart any day of the week. I love it because I grow as a person. I'm able to provide a lot of value to others. I'm able to be an example to my kids, be an example to maybe another child, like maybe another young boy that's growing up somewhere in Cameroon or some other part of the world and is able to look at me and say, you know what, if that guy did it, then I could do it too. To me, that's worth everything to me.
Yeah. And when we get this podcast done over and produced, you can send it over to, and then, inspire all the kids from Cameroon to come out here.
You
Would
better
you,
believe it.
would you say that, a little bit more about the world than we do? Would you say America is the best place to come for opportunity?
1000%, I'll say that.
That's what I'm, that better than me, so I appreciate that. I think it, but I don't have the experience you have.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you come to America, you're able to build yourself to whatever you want to be. It's able to give you because and then once you like I was saying, like America was really designed to really unlock human potential. That's what I told you. And once you get that, once you understand what you're capable of, you know that I could put this and see this and put this and put that, you become unstoppable. Then you start seeing opportunities in other places as well. But America is like definitely the greatest society to be in.
I agree with you 1,000%. 1,000%. Because it's protected by the greatest military force in the world.
Yep.
Safest real estate you could buy, period, by far
Yes,
and away.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, listen, I can't thank you enough. Last question before we go. If you could go back to your early 20s, what would you do different? And what would you do the same?
If I could go back to my early 20s, I'll trust myself more.
Hmm.
Right, I'll trust myself more because even in my early 20s, I had this itch for entrepreneurship, but I just didn't have any confidence to do it because I didn't see anybody around me doing it. I was so afraid to fail that I never tried. So I'll trust myself more and I'll be okay with failing. And that's probably the only thing I'll do differently.
What would you do the
Everything
same?
else do the same is same enthusiasm that I put to work every day and everything that I went after, I'll maintain that same enthusiasm for sure because that's what has gotten me to where I am today.
Awesome. Leslie, thank you very much for being on the podcast. Appreciate it. And if anybody would like to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me. You can contact me anywhere. The web, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. My name is Leslie Awasom, LeslieAwasom. I'm very, very available on the social media platforms. Just reach out to me, send me a message. I look forward to connecting with you.
Leslie, awesome. Thank you much for being on the podcast. And for everybody else, we're going to let you go. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification button on the bottom. And Leslie, I can't thank you enough. It was a great podcast. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.